Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. I'm your host Clayton at ClaytonsAFC on Twitter, and I'm joined by my co-host FPL Nima. Funnily enough, at FPL Nima. So, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good to see you, mate. Excited for this big game, the Klopp
Huge.
Arteta derby. It's
Yeah,
been a
it's
few years in the making.
I know. I feel like when I was putting together the slides, I don't know why. Like, I know it was a while ago, and a lot has happened since. But that image just came into my head of them two going blow for blow at Anfield, which ironically I think spurred Liverpool on to go and beat us that day. But yeah, it's obviously Klopp's final trip to N5, final trip to. I don't know if they've already played Tottenham away actually. So yeah, final trip to North London. So I hope we send him fucking crying. I hope it's not going to be this nice emotional farewell tour for him. I hope it's emotional, but for the wrong reasons. But yeah, we're obviously here to do our quick preview before the big game on Sunday. Arsenal have recovered ish from after the winter break. We've obviously got 2 wins on the bounce now. One nice 5-0 win at home to Palace. One it was a convincing win against Forest, but I think it's like divided opinion in terms of that first half and stuff. But obviously, I
Mm.
touched on that in the review, so no need to do that. So what we'll do, the usual, we'll go in predicted lineups and score prediction. So we'll try to keep this one short and snappy and get it out there. But for the podcast listeners on the screen, we've got the lineup that started against Forest. Uh, I'll give my predicted lineup in a second, but I'm actually going for something slightly different this week, and I want to see your prediction first to see if it's something that you agree with or if it is actually rogue or the norm. But for the podcast listeners, like I said, on screen, we've got the starting 11 against Forest, and it was David Raya in goal, back four of White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. The midfield three, to my surprise, was Rice, Odegaard, and Smith Rowe starting. I didn't see that coming. I know one person in the predictor chat we're part of actually predicted that. Was it you by any chance?
No, no,
No, it wasn't you.
I
Good.
couldn't. I was shocked anyone predicted
Yeah.
that.
And then it was a front three of Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli. And like I said, actually predicted Trossard, so I was quite surprised by that. Are you expecting any changes? Same 11 against Liverpool?
Yeah, it's a good question. I can't see who would start. Like, my only debate is Smith Rowe gonna keep his place, and is he gonna play there, or is it gonna be Havertz? I don't see us going for the double pivot we did against them this season with the Jorginho Rice. I'm not sure I
How
see
comes?
that happening. I think we look really good, but I just feel that we're at home. It, we got to play to our strengths, and I think it's all going to be about the control. And I just feel like we need more players to create. Like I know I think I don't want to talk about what you said on the pod about Forest, but obviously in the first half, like I've never seen such a large number, a gap between final third entries in my life in a match. Like it was like 8
Yeah.
passes into the final third for Forest in the first half and like 250 or something for 280.
Yeah. That when that graphic came up on the screen, I was like, what the fuck?
But yeah, like I've never seen anything like that, and yet I still didn't quite feel like there was a goal coming. So
Yeah.
I just don't personally want to be going for a double pivot, which is probably going to be more defensive. I want to go more offensive in this game. Like that's the main thing I would say. The other thing is, I also don't feel parties can't just be thrown in. Like in my ideal
Yeah.
world, it would be just Party, Rice, Odegaard midfield in this game,
Yeah.
and I just don't see how that can possibly happen. Like I just do not see a world in which Party starts.
No.
Now, there's obviously Salah. We've been told he's not going to be ready for the
What's
weekend.
your thoughts on that? Because obviously there's the picture of him running on grass, right? Like, and
Yeah,
then
but we saw.
Darwin's a doubt as well.
Yeah, so that's the other one I was going to say. So Darwin's now apparently left the game in a protective boot. So again, might just be precaution, and he's fine, and it's all mind games before they play us. But we'll talk about them when we look at their lineup from the
Yep.
previous game. In terms of our boys, yeah, it's just what do you think about Smith Rowe? Because I think it's going to be this exact 11 bar the Smith Rowe versus Havertz thing, and I don't see
Okay.
Jorginho coming in.
Trossard as one of them, or are you sure it's like either Smith Rowe or Havertz?
That's a good idea. I think for me, if Trossard was to come in, I think he'd come in at Martinelli's expense.
Sure.
I don't see him coming in that midfield three personally. Smith Rowe, what do you think? Because I was going to say, like,
So
I think it was just like it was just a average, like
yeah,
game, but equally it's like his second start in 2 years. So,
y-
like you need kind of like regular starts in a row to really see if you have something on your hands here or not. And for
Yeah,
me, I feel like, did he do enough to just get another start and get another few starts and see what he can do if he does actually play a few games in a row? I think it was promising. Like, I thought it looked okay. Like, I can't tell what it will look like if he gets enough games, but I think we're going to see a lot more of him if he stays fit now going into the end of the season across both cups. So I do think it was promising in that sense, but is it maybe just that too soon for Liverpool?
I think so. Yeah, I agree. I think it was like an average performance, but in the context of someone returning from so long out, I think it was a good performance. So, but I don't. Was it
Mm,
good enough to get him a start against Liverpool? No, I don't think so. I think he'll be someone that's managed in different game states quite a lot for the rest of the season. Like you said, in Champions League, I think over the course of 2 legs, you'll really see us flex the squad because the state of that tie will change so much, and you could be in a position by like the second half of the second tie where the tie is completely done, right? And you can afford to make wholesale changes and stuff. So, um, what I think is funny. You already mentioned it. I think we're going to go with the double pivot, and it's
if it was Party, I would love it, but just something scares me about Jorginho. But I'd
so
love to hear
ironic.
what you think. Yeah.
Well, so it was what you said about. I agree. Against Forest, it felt like we had a level of control, but no real incisiveness coming or creativity. Against Liverpool, I think he's going to want even more control, like which
Mm,
is what I think Jorginho benefits from that in terms of not Jorginho benefits. Sorry, I think Jorginho's profile helps us because as much as you say he scares you, I think in these games he's more than held his own. The only time I remember him really struggling was coming on as a sub against Spurs. Other than that, he's played in some pretty big games for us now. And like City, Newcastle away comes to mind last year, which you think is like one of the most physically imposing teams you can play against. Liverpool in the cup. I know we lost. I actually thought that midfield completely bossed that game and was like the platform for us to go in and play. So I actually think he's going for the double pivot because he wants that level of control against Liverpool. I think Liverpool is not a team you want to turn into a transitional basketball game. We wanted a bit more of that against a Forest because they just park the bus, right? So that's a way to entice them to come at you. Liverpool will come at us anyway. So I think
mm,
for this type of opposition, it's the platform that we need to kind of keep solid, try and nullify their transitions through us. And naturally, there'll be space for our front 4 and 5 anyway. So I think we're going to go with the double pivot. The key thing there is like what I think we'll do versus what I want, right? Because yeah, what I want is probably similar to you. And yeah, I agree. If Party was fit, I'd love. Well, if he was match fit, I'd love it to be a midfield trio of them, him, Rice, and Odegaard. But I think he's going to go the double pivot. I've got a dilemma at left back, because
hmm
again, I overthink these things. But when we then build up and Jorginho's in the team and Zinchenko inverts, you've then got a platform building up of Zinchenko and Jorginho, which technically on the ball is outstanding. But if we get counter-pressed, that fucking terrifies me. Like them running through a Zinchenko and a Jorginho double pivot. So that's what I'm not sure if he'll go for Kivior as like a traditional fullback in this because there's no real need to have an inversion when you've got Rice already there. So it could be like you know how we build in like the three of White, Saliba, Gabriel, then the two could be Jorginho and Rice with Odegaard in front instead of it
mm.
being Jorginho and Zinchenko inverting in with Rice pushing on forward. So that's the only dilemma I've got in my head. If you had
Yeah.
to put a gun to my head, I'd
But I think
say,
that's the thing. Like, I guess what I was feeling, and I think you're actually spot on, but what I was feeling was that, like, I would only want Rice to be playing more advanced as like an eight if it was Party in the six. I
okay,
wouldn't want like a double pivot where Rice is playing further ahead and then Zinchenko is there in midfield with Jorginho as the actual pivot.
me too. And
That's
that's
what
what
scares me, and that makes me think what you're saying, which is if Jorginho starts, which there's a high chance based on what you've just said, that logic feels quite fair. I would then assume that Zinchenko wouldn't.
Yeah.
Equally, when you look at like I know obviously there was the big incident after the match where White and
Oh, I think that
Zinchenko
was
got into it.
overblown.
No, it was overblown, but it was like it's good to see because like our team have looked like clowns for a long time before this period. Like everyone just points at each other and no one took any
Yeah.
accountability. You know, if you were looking at the Invincibles team, they will shout whether you win, lose, draw, whatever happens. Like
Yeah.
you got to hold each other accountable to get the best out of you. So I
The
love to see
fucking
that.
his standards, guys.
Yeah, I love to see that. But then part of me kind of feels like, do I really see Zinchenko getting benched after that incident? I think
That's
he
the
almost
other
wants to
thing I was
back in
thinking of.
more. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he wants to. It's the because they asked him about it in the press, like, how do you feel about this? What do you think? And some people blame Saliba because of the way that he, competed for the header. Others blame Zinchenko because he wasn't in line with the other three defenders and played the player on side. We saw that in the game earlier this month, or so in January when we played them in the cup. Liverpool's equalizer. No. So they beat us, right? So their
Yeah, they
goal
beat us.
came from basically Salah behind Zinchenko with
Yeah.
that quick switch over the top. I feel even though Salah's not ready, we're going to see that diagonal switch a lot,
That was
and
in the
it's going to
league, I
be
think, that
targeted
game.
at this. Was that the League One at
Yeah,
Anfield?
Salah wasn't there in the cup, I
Oh, he
think.
still wasn't here for the cup. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, so at Anfield they came for us in that sense, right? But
Yeah.
then now Salah's not there. I think Jota maybe will play there on the right. And that's still
Okay.
quite terrifying. The thought that Jota will be there
Yeah.
waiting to like cut in behind Zinchenko with long diagonal balls. I do feel that the Jorginho thing, the thing that you said that now resonates with me is yes, we might have trouble if they get past him and Zinchenko in the middle. But by having them both there, you almost switch up to like even more control, as you said, compared to
Yeah.
Forest. So you're trying to reduce those diagonal long balls over our heads to maybe just 2
Yeah.
or 3 times in the match,
And
and you
this is
just
what
have to try and survive them basically. But like
I
for
think.
the rest of the game, you just keep passing. You just do not let them
Yeah.
have the ball to attack you like that.
And to be honest, the reason I'm even more confident he'll go with the double pivot is I think against the Liverpool, if you go with like Rice, Odegaard, and then a Smith Rowe or a Havertz, I just think, let's say he goes with Havertz, I don't think he's technically secure enough to maintain the ball against this Liverpool team. Like, he'll suit the kind of attack the spaces and stuff. And Smith Rowe we know he's technically astute, but like, how sharp is he to play against one of the most intense football teams in the world? That's what makes me think he'll opt for that double pivot. And fuck it, gun to my head, I'm going to go with it. I think he's going to go Kiwior.
Mm.
It may be harsh because I actually thought Zinchenko played well against Forest, but I think if you're
So
going
Kivior and Jorginho. Yeah.
yeah, I think if you're going Jorginho and Rice in midfield with Odegaard, I don't think you need a Zinchenko in there. And also, it's the type of game where I don't think we're going to need that kind of OTT ball domination with inversion from the fullback area if you've got a Jorginho. So I'm going with it. It's potentially a bit rogue, but yeah, I'm sticking with it. I'm going Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior, Jorginho, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, and I think Martinelli will get the nod.
Cool. I think my out there claim is similar to what you've said, but the only difference is I expect it to be Zinchenko with Havertz.
Sure.
That's my thoughts. I don't think Smith Rowe will make it back in this game, but I do expect to see a lot more of him for the rest of the season.
Cool.
Why don't we look at Liverpool then? And
Yeah. So you touched on Salah. I forgot what your answer was. Do
yes,
you
I
think there's
don't
any
think he'll
chance?
be ready. No,
Okay.
no. So I think he might not be ready for a while. I know he was on grass, but we saw a photo of Haaland on grass like a month ago, and he barely
Yeah.
just about played 19
We've
minutes
seen
since.
Timber on grass, right?
Yeah, we
So
saw Timber on grass nearly a month ago as well. So,
yeah.
yeah, I don't think it means so much. I do
Darwin?
think he's still a bit further away. Darwin, I do wonder if that's just mind games.
I think so as well.
Yeah, that
I
one I'm not as
100% think so.
convinced about. Yeah, I almost feel like it's trying to make us prepare for a match where there's no Darwin or Salah, and then like
Yeah.
suddenly Darwin starts. So I
As
don't
much as
believe
we
the Darwin
as
one.
much as we all have our opinions about Darwin as like a bit of a gangly footballer and stuff, I hope he's not in the team because he's a fucking nuisance. Like, he
I
is
would not want to
so
defend against him. It's
no,
just
his
painful.
movement, his pace, his power, he's a nuisance. I hope he's not in the team, but I think he will be. Trent, do you think he'll come back in? Like, what do you think
Yeah,
is going to
so
be
I
the
think that it all depends on McAllister because he's also now an injury doubt. So if
Is he? Okay,
McAllister's
I've
so
missed out.
if he's not around and Endo's at the Asian Cup, they're saying the Liverpool fans are saying Trent will play in the six and Bradley will still stay at right back. I think if McAllister's fit, Trent will play right back, Bradley will be benched.
Yeah. Okay. So
But I'm pretty sure Trent plays either way, basically. Like he either plays at right back instead of Bradley or at six with Bradley because McAllister's out and there's literally no one else right now who can
So
play there.
I really hope McAllister's out then because Bradley's a talent, but I think we can get joy against him. And Trent is unbelievable on the ball. But I think when he starts from the 6 rather than arrives into midfield, I think you can get at them defensively there. So
I'd love to see Odegaard going at him as a 6. Yeah, I
exactly.
would love to see that. I think that would be the ideal lineup for me. Famous last words. What else do we think about this team? I'm just seeing. Yes, I think it's really that
Robertson was
squad
on the
just.
bench, by
Oh,
the way, against
Robertson
Chelsea.
actually.
Do you
Yeah,
think
so
he'll go
maybe I think
straight
he
back in?
starts. Yeah, I'm not sure Gomez start. Like, I think if Robertson's ready, he'll start him.
Yeah, I think so as
Robertson's
well.
another one of those players that he's a bit like Neil Maupay in that kind of the master
He's a
shithouses.
prick.
Yeah, they're
Although
just
big up
master
Morphe for
shit.
how much he rattled Madison. Madison's got one of the. He's so tin pot in like his. He's so insecure. Like,
It is pretty nuts how it all. I think both managers from both those teams, when they were asked afterwards, were both like, "This is such a non-event. Like, I don't know why anyone's getting upset." Like, they were basically like, "This shouldn't have mattered. Like, it's a fucking celebration."
but like the fact Madison went over and like grabbed him by the neck, I was
I
like,
saw
that's
that. Yeah,
so
grabbed his neck.
insecure. Like, he's got the ego of someone that's like done bits in his career. He's done fuck all. But yeah,
I just
anyway.
thought it was hilarious how it all went down. Like, he gave a whole presser about it and everything, and then like Morpie just comes out with another Instagram post baiting him even more. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like
literally.
you don't let those people rattle you, and that's what worries me about if Robertson starts. He's one of these rattlers. He's a shithouser.
He
Like,
is.
I can just that whole thing that happened with Xhaka, and then they said that was when the crowd turned around last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anfield, I think it was, and Xhaka got into the little push and shove with Trent or whatever. So then Arteta got
Oh,
into the
yeah.
argument from the thumbnail. So I just want to minimize emotion. Luckily, it's at the Emirates, so I don't expect
Yep.
any Anfield crowd to be getting rattled because Robbo like raised the ceiling or whatever. So I think it's okay, but I would rather Gomez plays there than Robertson if
Yeah.
possible, and I would much rather Trent plays in 6 than McAllister because I want them to have to basically have as much disruption to their system as possible. So again,
Same.
Darwin being out would be great. McAllister being out would be great. Robbo not quite being ready would be great. Like, this is as good a chance as any to make an important statement. My question for you, and I guess maybe that's one more for the score predictions, is do you feel that if we don't win this game, because my view is if we don't win this game, I would say we are out of the title challenge personally. I would say it's over for the season. I would then want to
Uh,
shift focus to UCL.
I partially agree. I think it would be extremely unlikely, but in this league, I think it's way too early to write anyone completely off. Like, any team could have some stupid injuries, suspensions, go on like a 2-3 game winning, drawing drought, whatever. But yeah, I think it would be incredibly unlikely. I think this is like a must-win game, to be honest. And before we give our score predictions, just got Colm Boogler in the chat. Hope you're good, mate. Thanks for tuning in. And if anyone else is watching us live, please drop the stream a like and subscribe to the channel so you see future episodes. It helps us out a lot. But yeah, in terms of score predictions, I'm not as confident, if I'm being honest.
They
It's
looked
just,
very good against Chelsea painfully.
yeah,
I thought maybe I was praying Chelsea could get something. And when I saw them without Salah the last few games and the way they've just kind of carried on and
yeah,
scored in bucket loads, it's genuinely made me think that, like, wow, like they are very good and they are seriously here. Like, I think one thing I will say, and it's not related to the score prediction, is if we were to lose this game, I would want to be backing them the whole way to win. I would not want Man City to win.
yeah.
I would give everything for Liverpool to win over City. Is just what I'm going to say. I'm just going to put it out there because
Oh,
I just do not respect the way City have achieved what
yeah.
they have personally, and that's
I
just
think
my
I'm
opinion.
I agree. I think I'm just kind of like, if we're not going to win it, as long as it's not Tottenham, I don't give a flying fuck who wins the league. But
Yeah, I did see Ange's comment when they said, "So you're going to go trophyless again this year?" He was like, "So you're saying we can't win the Premier League?"
did he say that?
That was his fucking
That
presser, yeah.
prick. He's- that guy,
My
man.
my man's talking about winning a fucking Premier League with his
He's the
like
biggest waffler I've ever
blitzkrieg style
fucking
of
seen.
football.
They'll get like, I've said, like, I respect the way they try to play football. Actually, yeah, I do rate it, but like they'll get found out against bigger teams, and like once teams respect them a bit more, like, good luck trying to come up against these deep blocks. And also defensively, they give up too much. Like, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
about them.
exactly. But
Come
yeah,
on,
so with the
score
score
predictions.
prediction,
Give it.
so I led by saying if we don't win this game, I think that's it. Title challenge over. So with that in mind, I believe if we play the way we did in January, we absolutely win this game. So as long as
Okay.
we do what we did in January again, I don't see us
You mean in
losing
the FA Cup
again.
game?
Yeah, I don't see us
The
losing
one
again
we
in
lost.
both. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But that's what's
No, I
crazy
know.
about it. Like I look at that and I'm like, how the fuck did we lose?
Yeah, I know.
And even the game at Anfield, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so
Yeah.
both of those, if we can just make sure we carry on doing those things the same way, do not let what happened before get to us. This is it. This is as good a time as any. I'm looking to win this 2-1. Don't
Okay.
see how we keep a clean sheet. I just don't see how we do it.
Yeah, I've got the same score prediction as you. While I say I'm not confident, I think we've got it in us to do it, and I think it's as great as Liverpool have looked. I don't think they come up against systematic defenses as impressive as us. And I think they're in a wave of rhythm and form at the minute where they'll be coming to attack us. And I think they'll be in for a shock when they realize the wall they're up against. And I really hope that that in itself creates opportunities and openings for us to go and attack them. So that's what makes me think that it will lend to us to actually win. I think we'll control the ball in large periods. And I think there'll be space for us, right? Like space is not a currency that we work in this season. We don't get
Mm.
space, but I think we'll get it in this game, and I think we'll actually convert. So I'm going 2-1 to the Arsenal.
So,
Unfortunately,
yeah, I was gonna say
so
just to
gone.
give you some spread betting odds as well. So the current like markets and how they feel the sentiment about this match. They have Arsenal as an expected goals of 1.6 and Liverpool at 1.45. So it's
Yeah.
like anyone's game. It's so tight. And I'm just looking. The other thing that frustrates me, and I just want to put this out there, is I saw recently that our expected goals conceded is like
I
20
saw
this
this.
season, and Liverpool's is like 28, but like we've conceded more goals than them. So that also just really infuriates me that like on paper we've done quite well, but we keep fucking giving up these stupid goals. Like
Yeah.
just these moments of lapse of concentration or stupid errors. But yeah, it's frustrating to have games where you dominate like that and still don't get the clean sheet. So I'd like to think that because I'm a numbers guy, that this is the game where Liverpool's kind of overperformance of not conceding goals, despite what the data shows, is going to finally crack.
I
That's just
hope
something I
so.
want to put out there
It's
based on
fucking
pure
Allison, though,
numbers
isn't
and
it?
spread bar. Yeah, so that's exactly what it. Yeah, so you've hit the on that. What the data doesn't account for is that Allison is so good that he himself single-handedly prevents those goals that should be going in.
Yeah. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Let's just do our job the best we can. And I think the biggest thing is if anyone's watching and is like lucky enough to have a ticket to be there, get behind the team. The atmosphere at the Emirates has been an absolute horseshit this season. And like Finn said on Twitter, like don't hide behind the ballot excuse. If it like there's 40,000 season ticket holders in that stadium. If you're lucky enough to have a ticket, if you've got a season ticket, if you want a ballot ticket, get behind them. They need us. Like they've said so many times how much it makes a difference. So let's get that 12th man going again because it helped us hugely last season. And unfortunately, it's not been the same. But on that note, it's a huge, huge game in the context of the title race and our overall season. If we do lose this game, I agree. We're probably just looking at the Champions League. But let's go and fucking win it. Let's take this to the wire. Up the Arsenal. Come on.
Come on, you Gunners. Let's go.